So let us start with the practice. Uh, then we will talk. Eyes are closed and understand the first two steps or three steps being in the place, position, and posture. One, being comfortable is two, and being carefree is the third. So every day, if we become aware of the three states, daily, morning without fail, by which we change the direction of the mind, changing the direction of the mind from the external world to inside, and we drop the ego's identity and we cultivate a conscious refuge in awareness. So find out a quiet place, check, 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 place, position, and posture. So the place of the body and the place where you are sitting. Where are you sitting? So you just become aware of the both. Aware of the both. Then position of the body, position of the body, and where are you sitting again? So you are clear about clear. Clear means you know, you feel, you experience. So here the place, what the feeling of the place also helps you. Feeling of the place also helps you to recognize. We should not be, we should not have a lack of awareness. We should not have, we should not be in lack of awareness. Means awareness and alertness is what is required. So that is there. And then the posture of the body, dictated by the default mind. Default mind is impulsive, instinctive. It is also reactive. Whether you use the word default mind or default intellect. The animals also sit in a position and they do not think. They do not think, oh, let me change my position. As we are aware of that, we have done a lot of scientific also understanding, science is also understood. Oh yeah, they change their position impulsively. They change position impulsively. Impulsively means habitually or by the given intellect Who has given the intellect? You just say, God has given the intellect to all of us. Intellect to all of us. So, here what we need to understand that we need to insist, we direct the default mind by insisting consciously and gently, we directing the default mind gently. Check again the place of the body, and the default mind say, oh, let me change it. No, do not change. You have already aligned and adjusted. So we will talk in detail in future sessions about insisting. Insisting. And then we change the direction of the mind by being comfortable. So again you see that change the direction of the mind after place, position and posture. So what we do in changing the position, we in fact do nothing. We do nothing, but we change. We do nothing, one thing, and we do it by knowledge. How? By feeling, by experiencing. Am I, or my mind is looking inside, say for example inside the body or head or heart, symbolically. So to do that, what we have been doing earlier, we have been doing, you look at the entire body, how move the mind on the skin of the body from top to the toes. From top to the toes. So as you move, you know, you feel and experience. What is that experience? It is sensation, comfort and steadiness. You know, these are the preparatory steps. If we don't follow, if we do not follow these preparatory steps, we cannot move deeper, we cannot succeed, we cannot move deeper. So when we do the practice regularly, it helps us to appreciate regular practice, helps us to appreciate the journey. And if the intellect says, okay, I know it, if the intellect says, I know it, we are going to talk about that intellect after the practice. It is known as the worldly intellect, cannot help to treat the path of Eastern wisdom. And now we move to the third step, which I said very important. That conscious awareness of place, position and body we have done. being comfortable in conscious state. Animals are also conscious, so they keep sitting, but they are not, there is no self awareness. And then being carefree. So, carefree, you are here, we separate in our mind. We separate in mind what we know and experience versus who knows. I believe I'm making the things very clear. I know you, okay, but who knows? Do I know who knows? I am in anxiety, okay. Do I know who is in me in anxiety? I know I am happy. Okay, that too is good. But do I know who is happy? So there are two things. One is I know something, person, feeling, experience, and the other is the knower. So, in being comfortable and place, position, and posture, you notice. What do you notice? You notice thoughts, feelings are coming and going. Thoughts, feeling, and sensations, past impressions, images are coming and going. And second is, I know them. So there are two things. I know, it means I am there, but I do not know who am I. And the second is my experience, feeling, thoughts of good and bad, high and low, etc., etc. Am I the object moving in the mind, or the awareness watching it? That is the discovery we have to make. That type of mind or intellect is required. And then so before we move to the higher level or to discover who is this I, we want to come down the mind further. We want to make the mind going deeper, further. How? By mantra. We want the mind should go deeper. Why? For higher awareness. How? By reciting the mantra mentally or loudly, whatever the case you feel. So just sarvesham swastir bhavatu, and we follow the same three times in Sanskrit to help to trigger the brain to rise in awareness and attention, and three times meaning and then contemplation and reflection. So, Sarvesham Swastir Sarvesham Swastir. Three times the meaning. May there be happiness for all. May there be happiness for all. May there be happiness for all. And then the last part is the reflection and contemplation. Why? To find the cause and effect relationship, to remove the doubt from the mind if happiness is essential nature of all. Obviously, everyone, I am seeking happiness, so everyone in the universe, all living beings, including the animals. Why? Maybe happiness is inherent. Well, if inherent means if it is natural, if it is essential, why I do not live into that state 24/7 is the discovery. That is what the self-discovery is. So I'm stopping there. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Second line, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace. May there be peace. Three times. And then contemplation and reflection means that you ask the question, how come the peace is essential nature? And the answer in the first, you have to ask the question while during this week, how come the peace can be my essential nature? And find the answer to yourself. Not only at the times of anxiety and stress and reaction, but also when you are at peace. So you need to ask the questions and find the answer. Find the answer. Again, question why? To help the mind to change its default position. Second is to change the default mind. If we do not change the default mind, nothing is going to come out. It is a journey different from the worldly activities. So we need another type of intellect. Simply saying that I have higher IQ doesn't work here. And we all know, even people going to the colleges having higher intellect have a tendency of committing suicide. So it means the IQ is not helping us to find the success in meditation. So we move further, self-awareness. And how we move to that self-awareness? We move to this further self-awareness by aware of the breath. How we become aware of the breath? In that state, you simply look at the breath. Look at the breath. Three-pointed awareness of feel the flow of the breath that is going in and out. Sense the physical sensation of air movement, and also notice no change in the rate, in the rhythm of the breath. You see, you notice three things, 3 points of the breath. Again, ask the question, why? To rise in awareness. Why? To settle the mind in a new level of awareness. New level of awareness. So, for the sake of understanding, I will repeat these steps for you to so that you can remember the steps and can do the practice. You see, the first step, we closed our eyes and we sat, place, position, and posture. We raise our awareness. So it is what we say self-awareness. If you tell animals, oh, just set up your place, position, and posture, you can train them for a limited things, but they are still, they learn impulsively by training. But here impulsive awareness is not. Second point, the first point is that place, position, and posture. Second point, that you consciously insist and gently. Is a place okay? Is position okay? Is posture okay? There is no movement. So no movement, obviously, for the sake of rise in awareness and self-awareness. That is what we did, the insist gently. Third step, we did it being comfortable. We changed the direction of the mind. Fourth step, we did being carefree. So you have to be very clear about the two things. In your experience, there is an experiencer. The light in the bulb is there. One is the bulb. Second is the current behind. The current is not seen. We see how beautiful waves, we don't see the water. So that is what the fourth step is, being carefree. And the fifth is the reflection on the mantra. By the 3 steps, then we have the 6th step is 3-pointed awareness of the breath. One guy from Ukraine wrote me today that he was sitting with the 3-pointed awareness of the breath, and he kept on sitting for 1.5 hours, body experienced like a rock in a motionless state. And then he wrote to me, I understood why you give the three preparatory steps in the beginning to help the mind to continue to live within, minus distractions and wandering. And I shared his experiences to the entire group today. What a beautiful, that experiential knowledge we need to understand. We are looking at the breath, no change in feeling, and we will continue to follow deeper understanding of the practice with the clarity. And do nothing now. That is our second last step. I'll introduce the last step later. So the last step today is doing nothing and being aware of happening. So even if you are doing nothing, you are aware of the happening. Happening means your feeling, your experiences, etc., etc. So you are doing nothing and still you have happening. Mind may be distracted or maybe focused, whatever it is. You can also chant the mantra mentally or loudly with me. That is also, I am introducing a little change. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Three times. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this is also another step, is the 8th step. Doing nothing was 7th, and this is the chanting mantra with me. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside the palms and stay there for a while. So when you open eyes, inside the palms is like a cup. You feel a sense of calm or infinite space, or you feel mind is rushing to thoughts of the past. So that tells you the real journey. Bring the hands down. We'll pick up the 9th step later. So now the very first step, first lesson, I'm asking a question. Is the worldly intellect help me to treat the path of self-discovery? Or we need a different kind of an intellect? That makes a very, let us forget everything of the past and start with the first lesson. So we claim we are intelligent. We claim, everyone claims, So can this intelligence or the worldly intellect help me from succeeding in meditation, or do I need another type of intellect? Let us pick up an understanding one after the other. So our master says worldly intellect. Let us talk about that first. I am and I feel like I am, isn't it? I am. So I feel that I exist. I feel, even now, you are listening to me, so you feel like I am or I exist. And second, at other times, I feel I do not exist. When? In deep sleep. I feel I do not exist. So when I feel I exist, so what happens to my mind? I feel I am exist. Then who am I? Oh, I'm son, I'm daughter, I'm husband, I'm wife, I'm animal or human being, I'm rich or poor, I'm young or old, I have stress or anxiety, I'm happy or unhappy. This is what I am. Two conditions for existence. I feel like I exist, so I define. I define myself. I define myself at different times. So I define I'm happy today, I'm unhappy, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, I have problems. But what happens in deep sleep? Are we dead or we exist? We exist, but still we don't know we exist. We have to explore. We have to find out if I exist, if I really exist in deep sleep or not. By inference, I know that I wake up. Can the worldly intellect be able to know who am I? Pay attention. Are you sitting now? Yes. So you say I know I exist, so I'm sitting and experiencing of sitting. But I'm not sitting 24/7. So it means I'm not a sitting posture. I'm not rich or poor. I'm not a man and a woman. I'm not a husband or a wife. I'm something else. But I'm using that language that tells me that I'm in ignorance. And in deep sleep, I don't know whether I exist or not. Simple. Very simple question we need to ask ourselves. Uh, in deep sleep, we don't know I'm rich, poor, happy, unhappy, gender, place, whether I'm animal or human. I don't know. God gave us a limited intellect to survive, to exist, to meet the basic needs by impulses and instincts. Eastern wisdom says this limited intellect cannot help you to find who you are. Find out if it can help you to know who you are. So if the limited intellect answers who you are, I'm a woman, this says I'm rich or poor, I'm good and bad, I'm happy, unhappy, I'm anxious, etc. These are the answers you have. Can the limited intellect say that I am pure consciousness of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom? Answer is no. So the master says, do you want a direct experience of that? Do you want to discover that you are of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom? Yes, then you have to change your intellect. IQ of the worldly intellect is not going to work. You already know. In Ivy League colleges and universities, those who have a higher IQ, they get admitted. and they have reported committing suicide. They are frustrated. And that's why modern psychology says genius is a form of insanity. We don't say genius is a form of wisdom. So it means there is some gap. We are not understanding the worldly intellect and the wisdom intellect, intellect of the Eastern wisdom. First point. Second point, it means we have two types of intellect. One is the worldly intellect. Now separate it. Understand two types of intellect. One is the mundane. Mundane means the lower intellect. Lower intellect means given us to by the God. The moment we were born, impulsive, we cried. Mom fed us the milk. I believe everyone's mom did the same thing. And we did cry. We wet the bed. Impulsive, worldly intellect. We grow older. Nobody taught us to be scared. We were scared naturally, impulsive nature. Did anybody tell you, oh, you need to be scared now? Did anybody tell you that you need to? Now you need to sleep. We fall. That's why we say we fall into sleep. Fall into sleep. We did not say we rise into sleep. Did we say? We did not say we rose into sleep. Instinctive, impulsive nature. Do you see that? Impulsive nature, instinctive nature alike with animals. The God has given the same intellect, worldly intellect to everyone. To basically the mammals and the animals. We need the worldly intellect. We need a wisdom intellect, the higher intellect. And that higher intellect, you can get it by the knowledge, teachings of the Eastern wisdom, aims at finding permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. You may be a scientist or a successful professional, not necessarily have a wisdom intellect as per the Eastern wisdom. Why? The Eastern wisdom intellect is not measured by the skill, but by the realization of the real self. Did you understand that? The wisdom intellect is measured by your direct experience of peace, happiness within. And if you experience that peace and happiness within, not depends on anything outside, then would you ever say if someone asks who you are, now you say, I am peace, happiness, love, truth. Oh yes, for conventional sense, yes, you can say yes, I'm married, but internally you are fully aware that you are of the nature of peace. Both are the job of intellect. Both are the jobs of intellect. When you say you are husband or wife, or old and young, happy or unhappy, but one intellect is the worldly intellect, one is the worldly intellect, and the other is, other is the wisdom intellect. So if we do not prepare ourselves for wisdom intellect, then 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 we cannot find the real self with the worldly intellect. Worldly intellect, we need some impulsive nature. Why? How? We need worldly intellect. So we put worldly intellect, you have to do this job. What it means? You feel an urge to go to the washroom. You don't need a wisdom intellect. So you have an urge, impulsive nature, and then the wisdom intellect chooses, okay, let me go to the restroom, not to the kitchen. So we need both. Limitations of the worldly intellect. You're not sleeping, you're listening. So limitations of the worldly intellect is, what is the limitation? Acquiring skills and the wealth does not guarantee happiness or wisdom. That is the limitation of worldly intellect. Let us understand clearly again. What is the limitations of worldly intellect? I identify my happiness depends on my husband, my wife. My happiness depends on the wealth. My happiness and peace depends on my position, my authority, my dictation, my ego. It is the worldly intellect. That is why the mind is distracted during the practice of meditation, if I don't differentiate between the two. So the worldly intellect, you can be skillful, highly skillful. You can have a greater wealth, position, posture, etc., etc. But worldly intellect consistently identifies happiness with external condition, circumstances, people, relationship, relations, objects, possessions. Am I clear? Think of it. Think of it. Think of it. Yes. I may become richer, but not necessarily happier. I may get married to the so-called Miss Universe, but not necessarily be in peace. You see the worldly intellect, how it measures the success, peace, and happiness. And that worldly intellect is already given to us by the existence, so we don't need to learn anything more. It's already there. Impulsive nature, instinctive nature is there. It will push me. I'm hungry, so anyhow, my wisdom intellect will find the food and eat it. So the human intellect has a self-awareness. We can develop that wisdom intellect. So how we understand that money does not equal happiness? We know it. Money does not equal happiness. For pets, bite of the food equal to happiness. So impulsively you can train your pet to be happy. Can anyone train you by those impulses? I'll give you a bite of food. Follow this. You may follow once and twice, but after that you will leave it. You will resist. You will react. No, I am happy. I don't need food. So the money does not equal to happiness. If happiness increased with the wealthy would be the happiest. If marriage is a certification of happiness, then everyone should marry. But not all the happy couple are happy. considering money as the source of the joy is a function of the mind, senses, not the wisdom intellect. So if I continue to live in the worldly intellect, I will always, my mind even after the session will run after, okay, let me find out. My honey is a crazy. Then only I say my honey is crazy. Then only I say the world is bad. Otherwise, the wisdom intellect need not to worry about it. Word is good and bad. What difference it makes? I believe you all are baby boomers, so you are wiser, so you understand that. You will reflect on it. You will follow it. But if we don't change our worldly intellect, we don't use the worldly intellect for self-discovery, for succeeding in meditation. But if I continue to live in the wisdom intellect, there will be a change in my life, in my relationship. If our intellect considers clothes as a source of comfort, for example I'm giving you, then we may keep wearing them even in the summer. For example, the winter clothes. I feel cold. What I do? I put on the blanket. But there we apply the wisdom intellect. In summer, I should not continue to have the blanket. No, it is not required. So in daily affairs, in our relationship, we need that kind of an intellect. What I said, if our intellect considers clothes as a source of comfort, for example, in the winter, that blanket gives me the comfort. Does that blanket, warm blanket, give the comfort in the summer also? Answer is no. Impulsive nature wants to repeat it. Wisdom intellect wants to analyze, reflect. Then only it works. Demonstrates how attachment to an idea or a past habit leads to irrational behavior. It will lead you to irrational behavior. I got married because you were soulmate, but now you have created a problem to me. That is the job of the worldly intellect. Now I have understood how crazy you are. Also, you did not understand when you got married. No. Why? Because your behavior was such. So, what about your mind? You use the worldly intellect. You use the worldly intellect. So, then what happens? There comes the rule of the last point, the role of a last point today of a discussion, the role of a teacher in the Eastern wisdom. The teacher teaches from the knowledge already existing in the text, and by the teachings of our great masters. It's a 10,000 years old tradition. So we have nothing to create. The teachers of the Eastern wisdom in the modern world, if he says or she says that I have created one thing for you, he is wrong. He or she is false. He or she is telling a lie. So guru, you become a guru when you teach from the teachings and the knowledge already existed of the Eastern wisdom to move your worldly intellect to a wisdom intellect. That is the only goal. Whether you go for it, you don't go for it, we just continue to guide and teach with that idea. So, conclusion. Where is the conclusion? The God gives the basic intellect for survival, for everyone's survival. But only the teacher can give you the knowledge existing in the Eastern wisdom aims at awakening and realization. That is how the Master teaches. The journey of the Eastern wisdom. It also teaches, the teacher teaches how you can receive the grace and the blessing from the existence. Teacher teaches how to receive, what are the conditions of receiving grace and the blessing from the existence. Why? To change unfavorable circumstances. To change the unfavorable circumstances in your life. That is why the journey of the Eastern wisdom has to be followed. Followed as it is, not putting your ego. So when you don't put your ego in the first, from the ego comes the worldly intellect. The wisdom intellect says be humble, be receptive, be reflective, be committed, until you start experiencing the change. But why? I'm more intelligent than you. You may say, yes, you all are more intelligent than me. Who says, I agree with it. But that intelligence coming from the worldly intellect. First you receive the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. Follow it verbatim. Why should I follow the verbatim? Because I gave you the cause and effect relationship. No, you got my address. You put it into GPS. GPS says turn right. You turn left. No, I will turn left. Do it. It is your choice. You will reach at a wrong destination. So the master explains, based on the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom with cause and effect, with reasoning, clarity. So we have to convince the worldly intellect to follow the wisdom intellect to find the journey of the self-discovery. That is our first lesson today. So I raise a couple of points. You have to listen to it and you have to reflect on it. If you have any question now or what you have understood, you can share your experiences now. Yes. Anyone, Sophie, you want to go ahead first?
Yeah, I think I understand what you explained about worldly and wisdom intellect. During the meditation, there's definitely a space opening.
Good.
And a distance from thoughts and anything that's happening outside.
Beautiful. That is good experience. And
yes,
that is definitely a good experience, and you have to work on this worldly intellect, during the entire, everyone I'm saying. Every day you wake up in the morning, you have anxiety, worldly intellect. You have a wisdom intellect, the anxiety is gone. You check it. You can find out. It is possible. 100% possible. So you get a reflection. What is this? Yes, Mead.
I thank you so much for your continued devotion to us and for your clarity. And I feel that I was able to listen to you and receive you more deeply tonight, and also sense that what you're saying is so important to living a life that's meaningful.
Yes.
And thank you.
Yes. Worldly intellect always keeps on bragging and saying, why my honey, my husband, my wife, my wealth. That is the job of the worldly intellect. Wisdom intellect. I am already of the nature of peace and happiness. Look at it. You start the journey from there. We don't want to do it. Don't do it. Yes, Charlie.
Hi, I'm sorry I was late. I confused the timings. Thank you for letting me join. Yeah, the worldly and the wisdom intellect, what resonated with me was the I don't know, let me find out. That's where I need to put myself because the worldly intellect says I know. So,
Yeah,
that made a lot of sense to me.
worldly intellect says I know everything. You have joined? So you say, yes, I know. Why you are teaching me? I know you are wrong. Worldly intellect. Yes, and what you are. And Hoffman, your turn. Beautifully. And you have to unmute.
Hello, Guruji. Sorry, I am late because I misunderstanding about timing. I
Okay.
just get yesterday invitation, and I'm in Canada now. It's totally different times. That's why. Sorry about that. Today.
Okay, no problem. You can join from the next week. And Hoffman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel that we always have to be able to see and recognize the worldly,
Intellect.
the worldly part and the true,
Intellect.
the superior wisdom.
Yes.
And that we are always very often torn between both of them, or very often we don't recognize the true knowledge. So we always have to go back to the foundation, which is
Yes.
investigate our feelings, our anxiety, or also if we have a great pleasure.
Yes.
We have to ask what kind of a pleasure, but it has nothing to do with our inner life. So I feel we have to do that constantly, that see the differences between both.
Beautifully
both
said.
sides.
Why don't you love me, my honey? Oh no, I have given you everything, You now see that what happens. What you are doing. You are already into anxiety, and that anxious person is seeking love from the other. Is it possible? Worldly intellect. But we need, for wisdom intellect, we need a higher level of awareness. That's what beautifully explained by Diane. If we don't do that, we don't get it. I have